Welcome to today's Leverage TV webinar. Today's webinar topic is Scope of PhD Studies Abroad. Before we get started with this, I would like to place this quote from the greatest scientist of our era. Imagination is more important than a knowledge, and knowledge is limited. Imagination circles the world. Greatly said by Albert Einstein. And today's webinar topic is about PhD curiosity and how your aspirations to do a PhD to get into a higher level of your research interest abroad. So before getting ahead, let me introduce myself. Anup Chowdhury, Senior Coach, IV100 at Leverage, having over 11 years of rich academic and professional experience of studying, living, and working abroad, especially in the UK, where I did my master's, Germany, many parts of Europe like France, Italy, Switzerland, Austria, and Singapore. Returning to India in 2017, I wish to enter into EdTech education and study abroad arena as a marketer and later as coach. Having done my master's in the UK and PhD in Germany, and further postdoctoral research and other academic accomplishments in the EU and Singapore, I'm sure that this webinar is going to be very useful for international PhD aspirants. So we'll be structuring our webinar as follows under the topic of a scope of PhD studies. Is actually a very it's a very depth topic, and today's webinar will be covering what are the opportunities you get when you pursue a PhD, what are the funding schemes, what's the time frame that it takes to complete, the networking opportunities you get during a PhD, the soft skills that you gather from this study which you pursue abroad. And then to complete this topic is with a better understanding of different research methods and systems which you are getting to learn from the PhD program or the positions that you acquire while you was enrolled as a PhD student abroad, whether in the US, UK, Germany, or other parts of the world. Before we start with the topic and we break it down with these pointers, I want to give you an insight about what we do at Leverage, India's most trusted university admission platform for studying abroad. If you're planning to study abroad, wish to start your international study journey, then feel free to reach out to us. We at Leverage help you to reach your dream study abroad destination. If you're confused about how to apply for a university abroad, where and when to apply, we can help you for sure. Apart from this, we guide you through your application process to help you with the conducting great SOPs, prepare you for interviews, help you with scholarship loans, etc. You can reach us on leverageedu.com and avail the benefits of our university admission services. So let's get going, actually. So the topic, scope of PhDs abroad, as an international student or aspirant in India, with my experience of over a decade as a PhD student and a scholar later on, it takes a lot to when you dream about academia. So there are many things we'll be covering in this webinar in the next 20 minutes or so. Before that, I want to say that PhD is in higher academic. It's a degree that's at the perennial of the university. It's an advanced degree that is mostly required when you want to look for an academic appointment later on in the university or in the industries that you want to utilize your research skills as an R&D scientist. So it's very important to understand when we want to go abroad with a PhD is actually the choice of the university, of the program, your understanding, your research inclination and research interests, right? So before we get into the opportunities, funding, time frame, where to do your PhD, with geography, it's very important to inspire about a fact that comes out from a great entrepreneur, Simon Sinek, who says in his theory about what, why, and how, that why do we do what we do? So as an aspirant for PhD, which is an advanced level degree, which takes you to 4 to 5 years of your time and your energy, your resources, your investment, because you're curious about a topic, because you're curious to solve a problem, to explore the unexplored, to unscrap the basic understanding of the fundamental mechanisms. If you take a STEM PhD, if you go into science, technology, engineering, mathematics to solve problems, and to extend the understanding which is already existing in our in currently in the research of your interest. So he says it's really great that why do you do what you do? So before you even think about doing a PhD after your postgraduate studies or bachelor's, you should ask that why do you want to do a PhD? So over the next sessions of mine in as a webinar, we'll be covering a lot of things that goes with choosing a PhD, choosing a geography. But today we'll go with a 360-degree, immersion of how do we go about understanding that what is it like. What are the reasons that one should opt for being a PhD abroad outside your country? For example, the systems here in India, I will just very briefly go with it. That you need to be cracking the UGC or the CSIR exam to get into one of the top labs of IITs or the CSIR labs as a junior research fellow, which is like a 2 years program, and then you get into a senior research fellow after you are able to demonstrate your research. And this is a system which is in India, but abroad gives you much more opportunities. You are getting a lot of opportunities to network with different scientists across Europe, US, UK. Because when you enroll as a student, if you take an example of US, the time frame that so we'll be covering this 5 to 6 pointer across based on the geography. So if you take US, mostly it takes 5 to 6 years on an average to complete a PhD. So when you aspire and when you select a country that I want to go from a PhD in XYZ field, it's very important to look at that whether I want to go for a 5 to 6 years of a program or I want to go for a 3 to 4 years of a program that's mostly in the Europe, and we make a comparison. And we also see other countries that are very great to do PhDs like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and Japan, and South Korea in the Asia. So it all depends about, it all comes to that point that what you're passionate about, what is that problem that you want to solve, in which you have the relevant experience gathered over your master's program or the research studies that you have conducted over the last few years. I mean, in your early stage, actually. So when you see PhD programs abroad, they want to encourage students who are in their early stages of their postgraduate studies, like they've completed, and within the 3 to 4 years they want to join a program because they have academic ability, they have the aptitude, and they know what they're going to do in this 3, 4, 5, 6 or average of the years of their expenditure into the program. So that is the first thing, is to choose the time frame, I would say, in among the pointers that will be covering in the scope of doing PhD abroad. So when we start with this first pointer, opportunities are huge, because when you suppose select Europe, you have so many European countries. If you're pursuing a program in one of the countries, like for example Germany, then you get to network with a lot of scientists in your program across Europe, like 28 to 30 European nations, and you also do collaborations in your work with different scientists across in the US, Canada. So I hope many students who are interested in this topic, I wish they've joined the webinar, and I'm happy to take questions while we are doing this webinar. So secondly, let me complete on the time frame. So mostly 5 to 6 years is the average of the length that takes place to complete a PhD in the US, and many other subjects, for example, in the arts, humanities, and others that can extend for a bit longer time. And when we take Europe in comparison, the time frame that takes is like 3 to 4 years. There is a fixed PhD project, and you generally, when you're choosing the program, when you're making an application for the program, you choose a supervisor. And most of the times, you write a research proposal most of the times. But there are differences when we choose a country while pursuing a PhD, while embarking this application journey. That where should I do my PhD? So time frames are really different, and the project deadlines are really different. Funding is key, and it is different. And how you go as a PhD student, whether you go as a stipend student or whether you go as an employee, it's also a difference that many students wouldn't be aware. And I would like to bring to this webinar a very interesting thing about European PhDs, that they are very shorter in length. They're very shorter in length, 3 to 4 years. If you take UK, most of the PhDs programs would not have a prior funding, but you need to acquire a funding simultaneously when you are applying for a PhD program, or when you're choosing a supervisor in that particular university of your choice. So there are a couple of things that we choose. So if you take UK, then we know that we have a particular project that's advertised, and we go to apply to them. We going to make connections with the university professors. We're going to present our research and our abilities and our interests. So that is really important to do in the European PhDs, is to get connected with the professors, to get connected with the people that you want to work, that you wish to do your doctoral studies, because it's a 4 to 5 years of a time that you are investing to study in a breakthrough project, or you want to uncover certain things, explore, or take your interest to a different level. So it is very important when we consider UK to go with the time frame for the funding. And when we go to the core Europe, you will see mostly the PhD programs or the positions that advertised by the professors are funded. And that's an important thing, that you get a funding already in a project. So if you get selected by the application process, you're ready to start your PhD when the intake happens. Or depending on the professor or the supervisor, you can start your PhD as early as possible, before even the general intakes of a program in a university that take place. So that is the difference. And when we come to funding, we made a difference that the programs in the Europe is mostly funded. In the UK, you need to acquire fellowships to to pursue your studies. And then we come to the time frame, that's a 3 to 4 years, and then you're able to network within the Europe. When you go as a PhD student, you're going as a mostly on a residence permit, or you're as an employee, that you get a benefits of medical insurance and other things coming up with a PhD. So you're finishing your PhD studentship or PhD program as an employee in a research institute or in a university that you're going to, for example, in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Belgium, Netherlands. They are very popular for conducting your PhD in various fields, whether in engineering, computer science, biological sciences, or in the arts or humanities, gender studies. So this PhD in very beautiful areas that you can go up and extend your career into an academia. So when you look for a PhD, at the end of this webinar, definitely we'll touch upon that. What is the career opportunities after PhD? So we covered the funding and the time frame so far now for the European region. Now we'll also go through the network and the soft skills. So you get a lot of networking opportunities, and you're going to get a lot of opportunities to learn a new language. For example, you go to Europe, you go to Germany, Netherlands, there's different languages there: Deutsch, Dutch, French, Italian. So that's something you're acquiring over the years, and it is pretty simple to acquire those while you're doing your extensive research, because universities provide the system for you to also give certain time out of your research to get into acquiring these soft skills like language, career guidance, and probably there are a lot of alternative options that you can do for post your studies. So there are many students, when they're in the middle of your PhD, they understand they want to go to an academia, or they want to go to in a software side of the outcome of the PhD, probably getting into scientific communication, other areas. So that's very popular in a lot of the European countries, Central Europe especially. So this is one thing. So you get to learn a lot apart from your core, apart from your lab, apart from your experiments. You also learn these languages, networking in different countries. There's huge diversity when you join a lab. There's a lot of opportunities that comes up, according to my experience of spending 4 to 5 years in a German lab with a different nationalities. That's what you get when you are pursuing your PhD, and it's never a lonely journey. So you get to meet a lot of people, you get to understand their background. People come up with different backgrounds into a PhD program. So there are a lot of programs that encourage students to have a vast background. They do not look for that's the good thing about PhD, that they do not look for exact experience, or most of the times they do not look for your publications. They look for the curiosity, they look for the understanding, the background, the curiosity to take that project, the at least the basic skills and the methodologies you have acquired over the years in your master's thesis. So there are some things that is required to acquire while you're completing your postgraduate studies or undergraduate. So we'll also when we come to US, there are programs where you can get into a PhD right away from your bachelor's. So that's a great opportunity. But then you have to see that you need to invest 5 to 6 years on an average for a STEM PhD, because that's the system. So that is the academic system. In that academic system, the couple of years is about rotation. You get into a program, you need to rotate into multiple labs. That's for a STEM, for example, computer science. That's for engineering. That's for biological sciences. You need to rotate in a couple of labs until you decide that you want to go for a particular research lab and to start your dissertation project. So, for example, in 5 years, you're doing 2 years of your rotation studies. In that period, you also do a lot of courses. You do a lot of courses. You will do a lot of teaching assistantship, because that's a part of the academic program. That's how the PhD system is. So you take like around 5 to 6 years. For humanities and other subjects, it can take even 7 to 8 years. So it's a long investment. But if you do it from a top universities, if you do it from the great universities, where you have Nobel laureates, where you have that culture that gives you that platform and the resources, the technologies, and the tools for you to pursue your dream project to execution. So it is very important that we decide whether we want to go to the US or the UK, and it all depends on your research interests and your inclination to the program, and you make a connect with the faculty or not in which you're applying. And when we compare it with the US or the Asian PhDs, generally 3 to 4 years of a program. And in the Europe, you can see that it's a shorter program. It's pretty straightforward, streamlined. You can start from the day one. And the good thing about is you go as an employee in most of the European countries. You get a residence permit to stay, and post your 4 to 5 years of your studies. The biggest opportunity is applying for a PR in most of the European countries, and that comes as a really great thing, because when you spend 4 to 5 years in one of the European countries, you do get inclined to stay for a longer, and there could be any other choice you could make after your PhD, but getting an opportunity for a PR is very lucrative, because this is a totally different when you look at US, because you go as a student on a stipend and you spend 5 to 6 years as a PhD student, right? So these are the things I really want the aspirants to know when they decide on the universities, when they decide on the funded programs or non-funded programs, 3 years or the 6 years, which university, which city, which country. And I'm sure that the time you spend there, you get to the best of your research, because getting the dissertation, it is a very hard task, because there are many realities that's not been told when you embark to this journey. They've been told that you do a PhD, it's a very longer thing, 5 to 6 years or 3 to 4 years. But there are many things that I want to also tell in this webinar to cover, is that it's a very zigzag system. You start with an idea, you might fail. And the fun thing, or the beauty of it, or the excitement that comes up, that when you fail, you still want to get up and figure out why you fail, and you read up, you write, you make the thesis work, you do experiments, you fail, but you still want to do it because the passion carries you, that I want to get it to the end and to unlock that problem that I want to solve. So before we decide to go abroad, it's very important to hold on your passion and interest and align to that school where you connect with the program, with the interest, what they're looking for in the students. So it is very important that we understand, and I'm sure that the takeaway at the end would be about this thing, that why I'm going to do a PhD in that particular geography or that country or that program, and what is the post PhD plan, right? So you got a networking opportunity, you got soft skills, you know about the time frames, you also know the funding can be also of a various nature. You have you got to have, like, in the UK you can see Wellcome Trust, Marie Curie in the Europe. These kind of scholarships are pretty prestigious, pretty huge. These scholarships will provide you, like, if you take a Marie Curie scholarship that I've been awarded, endorsed with during my program, paid me like €3,000, and that's huge. I mean, you can imagine, as a very dedicated academics personnel from India, if you go abroad with this opportunity, you have very good, stable, already a career that can start in terms of the ability to do research and to get paid for it. So when you go as a stipend student, and or would you like to go as an employed student, although competition in getting a PhD is a topic that we'll cover in the next webinars, but I wanted to highlight all of this in today's first webinar topic, that's the scope of doing PhD abroad. So apart from these five things that we have looked into, different geographies, US, UK, Australia, Canada, they all are booming up when you do your research in your field, that you see US, Canada, and Europe are pretty the places to do your PhD in your field of interest. So whether in STEM or in other areas. So it is very important to also understand that you get an understanding of different research methods and systems. And when you go abroad outside your country, probably most of the times in your country, you have a very lesser scope, lesser labs in your research interest. So that is the point when you decide that I want to see the world, I want to experience, I have more opportunities, I have more positions to apply, I have more programs to apply. And I'm sure from this talk you'll gather the insights, that is that to achieve to get a program, it can be easier, but to maintain, to execute, to get better out of the program, that takes a lot. That takes a lot of perseverance, that takes patience, that takes also the eagerness and understanding that you do get over the years. You're planning to compile your PhD, your understanding of your subject, your presentation skills, your ability to present your data, your ability to understand, make it understand to the public. So a lot of the things that covers when you do your PhD in your field of interest. And when you get into your European or UK or US PhD, you get into uh, a different study system. You go into different learning system. You get into interacting with people with different belief system. That comes with a PhD. So when you go for a broad PhD, you get to learn different systems and methods to arrive for a solution to the problem that you want to solve, whether in biology or, for example, you want to solve a cancer problem, you want to solve with a problem with the stem, or you want to solve problem with the old age disease like Alzheimer's disease, or whether you want to take a problem in operations management in the field of business. So whatever it can be, it is possible with a PhD abroad, when you get more opportunities, greater funding, and a greater lucrative offers you get at a PhD level, your ability to network and make good scientific connects. Suppose post PhD you want to get into an industry. So it is important that you understand that it is very important to make a networking with your fellow PhDs, with your professors, so that they will be able to give you the recommendation, because that is very important in academia. The connections you make with your researchers, with your immediate supervisors, it is very important to keep them for lifelong, because they will be helping you to achieve what you want. in the same university, or suppose you move on from that university for a postdoctoral or an industrial R&D position, or you move into other fields of your interest, or you want to get into other areas, they are the key people that are going to help you achieve yeah, and complete your journey with the academia. So these are the areas we covered in today's webinar, and I'm sure that there will be questions, and I'm happy to take those questions. And in the next webinar sessions, we'll break this into choosing geography, choosing the fields, the application ways, what it goes with applying to a PhD program, how do we strategize, how do we write a proposal, how do we write a letter of intent, how do we write an email to a professor to get his attention, because they are reading thousands of emails a day. So we'll be covering all this in the next webinars. And I would like to end here by saying thank you for joining today's session. And please join us every day at 6 p.m. for another live session like this, where you immerse with the different ideas and concepts, and also you get aware about how do we study abroad, how do we go for different programs abroad. So the next session that comes live tomorrow would be wanting to explore different part-time jobs in the UK. Suppose you're already enrolled, or you got an admission, or you would like to aspire to go to the UK and you want to know about the opportunities after your studies. This will be the session about. If you missed any part of the session, you can go and watch it on Leverage TV on our website leverageedu.com. For any assistance, queries, services, you can reach out to us on the website. Before I close, I would also like to introduce and tell you all about that we have launched India's largest study abroad scholarship worth 5 crores. As a student aspiring for higher education abroad, you just need to visit us on the website leverageedu.com/scholarships. Visit our website, click on the scholarship tab on the home page. You have to fill a simple form that asks you why you deserve the scholarship, like an SOP. You can win up to 5 lakh worth of scholarships. We shall be announcing winners every fortnight. So what are you waiting for? Apply today at leverageedu.com/scholarships. Thank you very much for joining the webinar.